In this video, we're going to look at my answer for Lab 8.3. So Lab 8.3 has you go through and add in attributes and property procedures. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, got my attributes. I'm going to go ahead and set them as being private. This encapsulates them. And now I need property procedures to make them work. Now let's see, I had some code over here for that, so I'm going to go ahead and steal it. And of course, you could have got it right from the Word document that we've been using. And now this will take care of first name and last name, but I also need, first name rather, I also need one for last name. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that. And I'll change this to last name. And I want to change this over to last name as well. This to last name. And let's see, I need this one as last name too. It's kind of weird. The property here indicates that it is a property, but then this one here refers to this. So these names have to match. And then the dot setter indicates that they're linked. I just thought that was kind of odd. It's a strange syntax. But anyway. Last name and last name. So you want to make sure that this here is the same as this here. Otherwise they won't be linked. The word value is just a name I made up, but I use it all the time. And you can use it for both of them. It doesn't have to be unique. Remember that this is just a parameter, so you can go ahead and use the same name for your parameters. The scope of a parameter is within the method. And yeah, they call these properties, but they're basically just a form of a method. That's why I often refer to them as property procedures, because procedure, method, function, it's all the same thing. Now, we don't have to modify this. It will actually go through and extract out the first name and last name, and it will go ahead and use our property procedures. So I can just run it now, and you can see that it worked just like it did before. If I were to go through and add something, let's say I go ahead and say I want to change the last name to lower. I have no idea why. I think that'll work. You can see that it changes the formatting for lower. And of course, if I had some kind of validation logic in here, come on, not equals Jones, then set the value. Oops, how about a colon there? I think I need better lighting so I can see my keyboard. Okay, so if it's not Jones, go ahead and allow it to set the value. Now in this case, that means it's Sue Jones. Let's see, how did that happen? Ah. It's because I'd use it in the constructor. Okay, and I guess that means that I need to modify my constructor so that I have allow for blanks. Oops, hey, back there. There we go. Okay, so if I modify it so I have some type of validation logic, and of course this is really dumb validation logic, what happens is that if I go ahead and try to set the last name later on, it uses my property procedure and runs the validation logic. It's not running the validation logic when I use a constructor. Oops. Now this seems kind of odd. I'm using this to define the constructor, and then I'm using my validation logic by using the property instead. Which, if you ask me, seems pretty dang cumbersome. Well, actually, let's just set to something else. Davis. So you can see that it is using Davis up here. So when it comes in as Davis, it creates the private field last name, and then it goes ahead and sets the last name property to Davis, and so it prints it out. Now what I'll do is I'll change it back to Jones, and this should be ignored. And it is, because it's actually using the property procedure. So, moral of the story is that if you wanted to use the validation logic that you make, you refer to the property, you do not refer to the attribute. Which I've never understood why I need to actually go ahead and use this instead of just marking my fields as private to begin with, but hey, that's Python. Now what I'll do is I'm going to get rid of these fields. Yep, hey, get back there. And let's see here. I'm going to take these out. Notice that that's referencing the private field. And I'll run it. Bob Smith came in. Sue Jones. Actually, I didn't even get that far. Let's see why. First name, last name. Jones kick it out completely? I think it did. Kind of bizarre. Come on. Yep. And you can see that by taking that out, it's still using my property procedure. It's still using the validation logic, but the field still exists. So in other words, Python is still setting up that invisible field when I refer to it. Kind of weird, but again, that's Python. Interesting that the validation logic caused it to fail like that. I'm not sure why it would completely fail the call for setting the first name. I have to think about that. Oh, it's probably because I don't know. Anyway, moral of the story is to create your property procedures, all you have to do in your constructor is reference your property procedures. It'll automatically create your hidden fields. And then you can refer to those hidden private fields like this. And you notice that we didn't get an error message even though we didn't define them. That's because Python's on automatic mode. It goes through and and makes things invisible for you. Okay, that is my answer to 8.3. Of course, your mileage may vary. You could have done something quite a bit different. So if you got it to work, that's fine. I don't imagine it'd look too different, though. Next on the list, we're going to look at methods in more detail. I'll see you there.